In the beginning, page 1 of the staff report, I go through some requirements of the farming zoning district, and I present the intent statement of the district, the requirements under normal circumstances for the farming zoning district. After that, those preliminaries on page 2 of the staff report. I provide an outline of the different sections of the zoning ordinance amendments. I'll go through section by section briefly. Section 1 is the purpose of and intent of the ordinance regulations. And I have a staff comment on that, and I'll be providing these as I go along here. The staff comment in summary is special staff comment pertaining to number 1, section 1. Section 1, again regarding purpose of intent, indicates that wind energy facilities are pre-qualified as special approval uses in the overlay district, wind energy facility overlay district, as long as a site plan is approved under section 5. And I go on from there. As a special approval use, notification of properties within 300 feet is required. And I didn't mention before that our staff report is based on the August 15th version of the ordinance amendments. That's what was approved by the Planning Commission, and that's, the normal procedure is for the County Planning Commission to receive ordinance amendments from the local planning commission and react and make recommendations based on that. And that's what we've done. So, okay, moving ahead, section 2 of the ordinance, definitions. There are several definitions proposed, such as met meteorological tower, wind energy facilities, wind energy facility overlay district. That's now been removed, as I understand it. They're not using the overlay district anymore. It's just converted it to a special land use in the farming district. So
all of number 3 is removed?
Yes, wind energy facility overlay district. So if I'm incorrect in that, somebody should step in, but I believe that's gone now. All references in general to the overlay district have been removed from the ordinance. I think they didn't want to go that way. Instead, just that they did a special land use. There are other definitions such as participating parcel, non-participating property and parcel. The staff comment on that section related to small wind energy facilities, which I thought could be taken out of the ordinance at this time until the ordinance provisions are put in later. The small ones for on-site use. Section 3, section 3.1, just summarize, must be the wind energy facility and met towers must be in the farming district, and site plan review is required. Section 3.2, wind energy facility may stand alone or be accessory to another primary use. Section 3.3, compliance with all applicable federal, state, and county regulations is required. Staff comment pertaining to section 3. In sections 3.1 and 3.2, it is pointed out that wind energy facilities are subject to special wind energy facility site plan review requirements. It should also be pointed out as special approval uses. They are also subject to the zoning, Article 6 of the zoning ordinance, which pertains to special land uses. I had no comment on section 4 applicability. It's very short section. Section 5, the wind energy facility site plan review procedure lays out the siting and submittal requirements of the for wind energy facilities. It's the main, probably the most important portion of the ordinance provisions. And inside, it tells what needs to be submitted as part of the site plan for a wind energy facility. Among some of the things that are required are existing property features, proposed location of wind turbines, wiring, access roads, substations, routes taken for trucks delivering equipment, proof of liability insurance, documentation of noise modeling and analysis report, avian and wildlife analysis, shadow flicker analysis. I think we're all familiar with that terminology by now. Decommissioning plan and requirements and abandonment. There's also a complaint resolution process that is to be developed by the applicant according to the ordinance. Section 5.2 lays out several fees, types of fees that are to be paid primarily by the applicant to various sources. Section 5.3 provides for application material. What application material is required, moving to page 6. Visual appearance, lighting, power lines, visual appearance of the towers, the turbines, and no artificial lighting, except as required by state and federal regulations. Power lines underground for the most part, where practical. Setbacks, separation, and security. Requirement of 3 times the height of a turbine with blade in highest position from structures associated with participating and non-participating properties. 3 times the height of the turbine for schools, businesses, and residents, hospitals, churches, public libraries, and on non-participating properties. Parcel owners may reduce setback to 1.5 times height through written acceptance. Property lines, no property lines except where adjacent to public road, no property line setbacks except where adjacent to public road. 1.5 time turbine height is required along the edges of the overlay district, which no longer exists. The electrical lines, 1.5 times turbine height from electric lines. Tower separation 3 times rotor diameter, taking into consideration manufacturer recommendation prevailing winds industry standards. Page 7. Maximum height of wind turbine and tower height. The hub may have a maximum height of 330 feet. Noise, participating parcels. Maximum sound pressure by a level of 50 decibels for participating parcels, or ambient sound level plus 5 decibels, whichever is greater. Non-participating parcels, maximum sound pressure of 45 decibels, or ambient level plus 5, whichever is greater, measured at existing residence, school, business, hospital, or library. Let's see, requirement, let's see. Waivers made, noise level waivers. Waivers may be granted, provided with written consent or of affected property owners. If that happens, a permanent noise easement must be recorded. There are several other things. Minimum ground clearance, you have to have 75 feet between the bottom of the blade and the grade. Signal interference, something that's come up quite a bit. The provision is intended to provide safeguards to ensure that turbines do not affect electromagnetic signals from communication, television, radio, and other sources. Shadow flicker, cast on a residence on neighboring property in a year. Staff comments regarding section 5. Number 1, preamble of section 5.1 indicates that modifications of development standards may be granted by the township board based on a recommendation of the planning commission. It depends on how you're going to do this. If you do it under condition of special land use, but modifications of zoning ordinance standards are normally within the jurisdiction of the zoning board of appeals. The ordinance language should cite the section of the Zoning Enabling Act from which the authority derives from the township to modify the requirements. It's assumed that it's being done under special land use and not under a variance procedure modification, that is. The next comment, section, a table, remove table providing fees, and that has been removed, so number 2 is accomplished. Number 3, section 5.2, move the definition of non-participating residents to definition section. 3, consult township attorney regarding removal of references to specific fee amounts in sections 5.2, 3, and 4. And I believe that's been done. Number 5, section 5.3B indicates that wind turbines shall not be subject to property line setbacks. Instead, a setback distance of 1.5 times tower height from the edges of overlay district. The overlay district has now been removed, so that's no longer applicable. Number 6, 5.3 provides 5.3B provides a minimum setback from inhabited structures under the setback 3 times turbine height, or approximately 1470 roughly. This setback is among the largest of zoning ordinances reviewed. Setbacks for public roads are required to be 2 times turbine height and 4 times turbine height along US 223. Number 7, section 5.3B5 provides for separation among towers. This section generally allows manufacturing specifications and industry standards to control tower separations, except the turbines may not be located nearer than 3 rotor dimensions apart. Manufacturers' specifications and industry standards should be relied upon for separation among turbines. Number 8, proposed noise maximum is 45 decibels for residences, businesses, schools, hospitals, churches, and public libraries on non-participating parcels. This level is 10 decibels lower than the state model ordinance and among the lowest sound pressure levels of community zoning ordinances studied. Number 9, section 5.3H regulates shadow flicker with a maximum shadow flicker of 30 hours per year on principal structures on non-participating parcels. The 30-hour standard matches that found in most ordinances that contain such requirements. Section 6, certification, and section 7, inspections, requires post-construction certification reports indicating that the ordinance standards have been met. Inspections require an annual report submitted to the Planning Commission confirming continual compliance. And page 9, summary. The proposed zoning ordinance amendments are reasonable. The ordinance appears to strike a balance between health, safety, welfare, and quality of life of area residents and the regulation of a recognized land use without being prohibited. It should be noted that adoption of the ordinance amendments is not the final stage in the approval process. Towers will need to be approved through the site plan and special approval procedures. This will provide an opportunity to review the WEF projects in relation to the impact of the development on the surrounding areas. In the near future, the township will be appending the section to regulate smaller on-site wind turbines that are intended to serve individual properties. Staff recommends approval of the amendments with the comments provided within, as well as the following general comments. Number 1, The amendments make several references to the overlay zoning district, which is to make up part of the farming zoning district. That overlay, as I've said several times, has been removed, and therefore that comment is no longer applicable. Recently, number 2, recently wind energy facilities were changed from permitted uses to special approval uses in the wind energy facility overlay district. Though the overlay district no longer applies, the change will mean that property owners within 300 feet of the development must be notified, and that the planning commission holds a public hearing. As a special approval use, the township may place reasonable conditions on a development to ensure that it is compatible to the greatest degree possible with the surrounding area. That concludes my comments.